movement. He keeps coming forward.
Down again, I think the right hand. And he landed a punch when he was on the floor there.
And here it comes now.
Jake Paul has just taken one of the most embarrassing hits of his career. And it didn't even come from a punch. The highly anticipated showdown with Anthony Joshua has been called off after Joshua made it clear that he would only compete under full professional boxing rules, not the exhibition-style setups Jake is used to. The moment those official rules were presented, the entire situation flipped. What was supposed to be the biggest fight of Jake's career suddenly turned into a harsh reality check, exposing fear, pressure, and the massive difference between hype and true professional competition.
If this is a real, legitimate fight, Jake Paul is absolutely crazy. If not crazy, he's super brave. And it'll be interesting to see.
The news hit the boxing community like a shockwave. 1 second, Jake was hyping up the biggest moment of his career, and the next, he was flat on the canvas of public opinion, knocked down without Joshua ever needing to lift a glove. The reaction was immediate, brutal, and absolutely unforgiving. And the embarrassment? It poured in like a flood. This wasn't your typical fight cancellation. This was Jake Paul stepping right up to the biggest chance of his life, and then turning around and running the other way before the first bell could sound. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. A fight that never even began, yet delivered one of the most telling knockouts in Jake's entire career.
Now, boxing. Anthony Joshua is going to take on the YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul in a professional bout in Miami.
Jake Paul deluded enough to think it was a good option to get in the ring with Anthony Joshua.
Jake Paul just suffered the most embarrassing KO of his career, and it didn't even happen in the ring. The Anthony Joshua fight was canceled after AJ demanded full professional rules, not the exhibition-style setups Jake is used to. The moment those rules were confirmed, the entire situation flipped, exposing weakness and hesitation that hit harder than any punch.
And we just want to see it because there's a lot of hate out here on influencer boxing. A lot of people have got different opinions on boxing these days. But I want to ask you.
The craziest part is that none of this chaos was supposed to happen. Jake had originally lined up a flashy exhibition against Gervonta Tank Davis on November 15th in Miami. Big names, big hype, low risk. The classic Jake Paul setup. But everything collapsed when Davis faced new domestic violence accusations and a civil lawsuit. The fight was done before it could even build momentum. Trying to keep the spotlight from fading, Jake made a desperate move. He looked for a bigger replacement opponent and ended up aiming way beyond his limits.
It can happen in a variety of ways, various ways, but
Joshua is big, heavy puncher, but not as evasive. So I think if Jake has the right game plan, he has a pretty good shot of winning this fight.
Because out of nowhere steps Anthony Joshua, not an influencer chasing clout, not a YouTuber fishing for clicks, and definitely not a retired MMA fighter looking for easy payday rounds. Joshua is a man who doesn't entertain exhibitions, a man whose resume is so brutal it makes even casual fans stop scrolling. He has finished 25 of his 28 victories by knockout, an 89% KO rate that feels more like a public warning than a boxing stat. He's a two-time unified heavyweight champion, first claiming world titles in 2016, and an Olympic gold medalist from the 2012 London Games. This is the kind of pedigree that doesn't just announce a fight, it shakes the entire boxing world when his name enters the conversation.
All of that power is great, and he's knocked people out. I just have to avoid that one shot for 8 rounds, and I believe that I can do that.
Joshua's name hit the negotiation table. Every boxing insider had the same reaction. Jake had stepped straight into the lion's den with no way out. This wasn't just about exchanging punches. It was about standing in front of a heavyweight icon, a man who went through wars with Vladimir Klitschko, stopped Otto Wallin, and knocked out Robert Helenius with a kind of accuracy that floods highlight reels. Every bit of Joshua's power, experience, and calm, cold confidence becomes a mental weapon before the first punch is even thrown. And Joshua didn't sugarcoat anything. If Jake really wanted this fight, he'd have to enter a ring where one clean shot could end everything for him. No tricks, no edits, no safety nets.
You've got to be in it to win it, and AJ was in the right place to maximize the opportunity around him, and he has defined a sensational legacy.
What are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really. It's better for Anthony Joshua because he's just going to go all out for them 8.
And the worst part is that Joshua didn't even have to throw a punch to take control of the entire situation. His reputation alone, the weight of his achievements, and the way he carried himself during negotiations and media interactions were enough to shake Jake out of his comfort zone. The influencer illusion cracked the moment Joshua accepted the challenge. Jake wasn't just up against a single opponent anymore. He was suddenly staring down the full, unforgiving reality of the boxing world.
Both fighters will be using 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. 10-ounce gloves, heavyweight, Jake Paul can punch hard. But do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not, mate.
Jake Paul just got KO'd in the most humiliating way imaginable. And it didn't even happen in the ring. The fight was canceled after Anthony Joshua insisted on real professional rules, not the exhibition-style matches. Jake thrives in the moment those rules came out. Jake's career-defining showdown turned into a reality. Check overnight fans went from cheering to tearing him apart. This wasn't about contracts, it was about fear, not of getting hit, but of facing a real fighter with no spotlight. Protecting You Jake was originally set for a flashy exhibition with Tank Davis, perfect for views and hype, but legal issues ended it. Before it began, desperate to keep momentum, Jake tried to upgrade the opponent and went too far. Out of nowhere steps Anthony Joshua, not a YouTuber or hype influencer, but a 2-time heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist with a terrifying knockout record. Every ounce of his experience, power, and calm confidence is a weapon. Facing him isn't just a fight, it's facing the full weight of boxing reality. Joshua made the rules clear: no friendlies, no influencer shortcuts, full power 10-ounce gloves. His camp prepared like a real championship fight. Jake realized too late this wasn't a show, this was a nightmare matchup. He couldn't spin, control, or outtalk.
Jake's a good novice.
Oh, yeah.
And if he wanted to have a legitimate career in boxing, then he would climb the domestic rankings in America, and he might even make top 50.
That's when hesitation set in. Jake started asking for softer terms, exhibition-style rules, tweaks, anything to reduce the risk. But Joshua refused every request. He didn't bend or compromise. For the first time in his career, Jake faced an opponent he couldn't reshape to fit his content machine.
A professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt will disappear. He's talking to you, Charlamagne.
Okay.
The contest is a professional bout and will go on the boys' records. But that being said, this is heavyweight boxing. Anything can happen.
And that's when the online tone turned vicious. People could sense the panic, the lost confidence, the swagger that had built Jake evaporated. The same internet that fueled his rise was now tearing him apart for backing out of a fight he had bragged into existence.
I will be shutting you the fuck up and making you eat your own words.
When the cancellation dropped, fans didn't need a judge or press release to get it. They saw Jake Paul, the self-proclaimed disruptor, got knocked out not by Joshua's fists, but by the reality of stepping into a real heavyweight arena. And Joshua didn't even need to throw a punch. He just stood there and watched Jake fall.
A professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt will disappear. He's talking to you, Charlamagne.
Okay.
The meltdown began the moment Jake Paul realized Joshua wasn't stepping into this circus with clown shoes on. Behind the scenes, his confidence didn't just crack, it shattered publicly. He kept the sunglasses and smirk routine, but privately the swagger disappeared. People in the negotiation room said Jake froze the moment he saw Joshua's contract demands that hit harder than any punch, because for the first time, he couldn't hide behind his influencer bubble.
Be the same for all of us, you know. Honestly, all of us. Many a greats have walked it before. All of the undercard are going to walk it. I'm going to walk it. I'm going to feel just like any of them. But when I step into that ring, that's when I switch on and I'm ready. So
teams scrambled, pushing for adjustments that basically said, please don't let my client get hurt. Bigger gloves, exhibition style pacing, anything to make it feel less like real combat. But Joshua shut it down with the quiet authority of a man who's fought killers. He didn't raise his voice or trash talk. He just calmly said no headgear, soft punches, friendly vibe, or shortcuts that controlled energy rattled Jake more than any insult ever could.
This is a more dangerous fight than Gervonta Tank Davis, but it's a more winnable fight
than Gervonta Tank Davis.
Suddenly, Jake's loudmouth persona went suspiciously silent. The guy who posts 20 stories a day, barely said a word, no trash talk, fake confidence or hype, just a wall of quiet panic. Jake's camp started leaking legal complications to the press. Whenever Jake wants to back out, the word legal appears like a smoke bomb. They needed time and a story, because the truth was brutal. Jake didn't want a real fight with the man whose punch erased Francis and Ngannou from consciousness.
I think that it's a hopeless and potentially dangerous mismatch.
So I think AJ will struggle because it's an Owen situation. If he goes in there and Jake Paul lasts the distance, what does he tell you about AJ? Apart from he's just earned an extra 50 million quid. Well, by the sounds of it, there's 50 million reasons why Anthony Joshua's taking this fight. In my head, I never ever thought this fight would happen. Why? Because of Anthony Joshua's desire to be in the history books, to be a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. To me, it shows me his desire.
They're suing me for something I didn't do. Like, on God. It's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of fucking money.